If you know anything about film, Stanley Kubrick will be a name that you recognise. The American director is behind iconic movies such as A Clockwork Orange, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and arguably his most popular, The Shining. His work being so influential, you've seen the Kubrick stare trope being mimicked in modern media years after he passed away. Even decades later, his impact has been so large that the new Gucci campaign is all about his work. But where he thrived artistically, some say that he lacked morally. In this video, we'll be diving into some of the evil things that Kubrick did on the set of The Shining just to make the perfect movie. To truly understand why Kubrick made everyone have a less than pleasant time when filming The Shining, some context is needed. At the time, Kubrick's last release was a movie called Barry Lyndon, releasing in 1975. When it released in the US, it faced lots of criticism of it being too slow-paced and boring, giving it poor ratings. While the movie gained a more positive reaction over time, the poor reviews incentivized Kubrick to make his next movie as good as possible. On top of that, Kubrick was a perfectionist. He has no limits as to what he would do just to get the perfect shot, and that is exactly what he did on the set of The Shining. He had no limits and disregarded people's health and feelings just to make the movie what it is today.
We're sitting there because they say, wait a minute,
okay.
and then you say on the radio,
but when you
go.
do it, you've got to look desperate, Shelley. You're just wasting everybody's time there.
I can't even get...
The main actress, Shelley Duvall, has one of the best and most believable performances of this movie, but the truth is, she was hardly acting at all. Now, Kubrick is infamous for mistreating his actors, but no one had it worse than Shelley. By the end of the whopping 13-month filming period, Shelley was apparently so ill that she began losing clumps of hair. Shelley plays the character of Wendy Torrance, the lover of Jack, and she ends up spending half the movie being hunted down by him while she becomes more and more distressed. In order to prepare her for this role and ensure that she acts to the best of her ability, Kubrick basically forced her into method acting. Kubrick would keep her isolated from the rest of the cast. She would be forced to wait long periods of time before performing her scenes just to throw her off. He made the decision to never compliment her work and instead criticize it whenever possible. He went so far, he even forced the crew to help out in this tormenting, ordering them to ignore her anytime she asks for help or to be comforted.
The record, I got such a bollocking because they said, turn over, and they said, video rolling and all that, and I got all ready, and jumped up and down, and then they said, never mind, cut it. And then I went to take a bite of soup, the next thing I know, action, Shelley.
A lot of Shelley's scenes involved her crying, screaming, and running around, all while carrying Lloyd, the kid who plays Danny. Now, that by itself seems very tiresome, but tied in with the fact that Kubrick is a perfectionist, it meant that each of these shots were done a minimum of 20 times until he thought it looked good enough. The famous staircase scene in the movie, in which Shelley is walking up a set of stairs backwards, crying, swinging a baseball bat, is one of the most reshot scenes in the history of film. It's reported to be shot as many as 127 times, and it became one of the most powerful scenes in the whole movie. Shelley's hands shaking as she swings the bat with her face red from actually crying. But this wasn't the only scene with an obscene amount of takes. The famous "Here's Johnny" scene resulted in Jack Nicholson destroying nearly 60 doors over a 3-day filming period, just to get the shot of Kubrick's liking. As well as that, Kubrick reportedly did not tell Shelley beforehand about Nicholson tearing down the door with an axe, to make sure she was as scared as possible when it came to actually filming. The final hour of the movie took 4 months to film, and required Shelley to be hysterical in all of her scenes. By the end of the filming period, she was reportedly having multiple panic attacks a day, was crying so much she had to keep water bottles nearby to stay hydrated, and had clumps of hair falling out due to how stressed she was. Which brings up the question, is it really worth it? Normally, when shooting a movie, the crew will go to a location or set and film all of the scenes that take place there, no matter where they occur in the script. However, Kubrick refused to do this. Kubrick wanted to make sure that everything about this movie was perfect, so that The Shining did not face the same reaction as his last release, so he made sure the entire movie was shot in chronological order. As well as that, he loved to change the script and add scenes as he was filming the movie, so he felt it was only best to film it chronologically. This meant that The Shining had an extraordinarily long shooting period of 13 months. In comparison, massive blockbusters like Avengers Endgame had a shooting period of just 9 months. As a result of wanting to shoot chronologically and for so long, every soundstage at Elstree Studios had to be used to house all the sets at the same time. These sets also had to be constantly lit up and dressed ready for shooting in case Kubrick wanted to add a last-minute scene. However, this didn't just inconvenience the crew, it had a much bigger impact. Kubrick using up all these sound stages meant that other productions that were due to be filmed at Elstree Studios had to be delayed by multiple weeks and even months. These productions include Steven Spielberg's Raiders of the Lost Ark and Warren Beatty's Reds, which also had Jack Nicholson in it. However, 2 months before filming wrapped on The Shining, Soundstage 3 burnt down in a freak accident, destroying the set of the Colorado Lounge, which is where Jack sits and writes his play. Luckily, however, it was no longer needed at that point, and Spielberg was able to rebuild the set for the Snake Pit in time for Indiana Jones. But what do you guys think? Do you think it was wrong for Kubrick to act the way he did, or was it necessary to get the perfect film? Also, I know there's going to be some loser Kubrick fans in my comments complaining that I criticized their favorite director, but please, shut the fuck up. You're allowed to enjoy something while critiquing it. Stop being annoying, okay? I like Kubrick. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Bye!